What about in Philadelphia? What are we thinking about there with the meeting that looked like it happened on Monday with Saquon, with AJ, with Jalen Hurts? What are you hearing, and is there a there?
Well, I think that in the big picture, and Nick Sirianni alluded to this yesterday, it's a good thing when guys want to talk. It's a good thing when they want to work through issues. The Eagles could easily say, well, we're the Super Bowl champs. We're just going to figure this thing out. Or they can get together and go, all right, how do we as leaders of this team push this going forward and get things going better from an offensive perspective? I personally think that especially on a short week, you're not going to have a lot of practice time to work things out. You're barely even going to review the tape from the prior game. It's got to be your leaders, your highest paid players, your best players need to rise up and drive the change. I mean, you can point very clearly to some statistical anomalies through the course of this season that would tell you why the Eagles offense has been struggling. There's no world in which Saquon Barkley should be getting one carry in the second half of the game. You're up 2 touchdowns. There's no world in which A.J. Brown to this point in the season, 5 games in, should have essentially had one productive half of football. Jalen Hurts is playing much the same way that we've seen him play in the past. He's obviously really dynamic as a runner. He can make things happen in the passing game. They're just not clicking at this point. Part of the issue with success, Suzy, is that every year you're going to lose when you win like the Eagles have won. You're going to lose people. And the Eagles have been in this perpetual cycle of either losing a coordinator or choosing the wrong coordinator and having to move on from him. Every year, going back to high school, Jalen Hurts has had a different coordinator. So the same bumps we seem to see every year from the Eagles in the early portion of the season, they're hitting again. This is a team that seemed to have it all figured out down the stretch of last season. The bar is high in Philadelphia. Anybody else would be talking about, well, they're 4-1. Yeah, they got some things to work out offensively. They'll get better at it. With the Eagles, it's DEFCON 1, but they have all the tools in place. They are a relatively healthy football team. They won with Landon Dickerson tomorrow night at the Giants. But this is absolutely a game that on paper the Eagles should win and win handily. Let's see kind of what the philosophy is out of the gate. I'm a long-standing, going back to his days in Tennessee, I'm a big believer that your offense goes as A.J. Brown goes. He's a tone setter. He makes things happen. Yes, Saquon Barkley's a focal point, but the way that A.J. Brown can dictate things, when you get the ball in his hands, the juice that gives him and the offense, I would not be surprised at all if they make sure they're getting the ball to A.J. Brown early tomorrow night.
And for the Giants, Brian Daboll had some high-level passive-aggressive Jedi mind tricks. I was wondering what you thought about listening to him sending a message down the turnpike.
I should say tonight, by the way. I'm all lost on what day it is. I'm flying there to host this show on Friday.
Today is
Thursday.
Keeping the seat warm
the game
for you.
Is tonight. Brian Daboll's he's got a lot to work through at this point in the season. Obviously they made the big switch to Jackson Dart. That gave him some juice going into this thing. This is a division game. These are the games that when you hire a coach in the NFC East, you want to be able to win. All right, short week. You're trying to stay relevant here, stay alive. You got to go out and you got to match them toe to toe. They've got a lot of talent that they've amassed on the defensive side. They're obviously trying to figure things out since the Malik Neighbors injury on offense. They get Tyrone Tracy back tonight. They got Cam Scadaboo, rolling pretty well, but they are banged up at wide receiver. No Darius Slayton either. That's not going to make it any easier on a young quarterback. I'll be fascinated to see what Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka do with Jackson Dart in this game. Do they utilize, his legs a little bit more? Do they run more design types of runs just to kind of get him into the game, get him feeling some early confidence? Because you don't have that Malik Neighbors. You can just run a bubble and let him, go to work. You don't have those types of guys. Wan'Dale Robinson is a nice receiver, but you don't have Malik Neighbors on your team. So let's see how they try to get that offense going tonight. And I think that's going to, say a lot about whether or not they've got an opportunity to pull off an upset that, really could kind of launch them as they go into this mini-bye this weekend.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.